All right, we got to talk about this Diz and KOTD situation. So, for those who don't know, you can check Dizaster's Twitter, and he's been dropping rant after rant through Periscope, basically exposing KOTD and expressing his grievances with the company and everything that they've been through. But you listen to this, and we could all relate to it because we were all in that position. So no one ever really teaches us to like value our own worth, and we all feel how Diz feels wherever you work. Unless you own the company, you're gonna feel underpaid. You bust your ass week after week. You don't get much. The most you'll get, maybe they'll throw like some pizza party and they'll buy like the lowest grade pizza. Give you some stale pizza, or maybe every Friday they'll give you bagels, or again, stale awful bagels. So that, obviously, we want more compensation. And year after year, bonus time comes around, and this company will try to convince you that, oh, this year didn't go as well as we planned. We're not going to give you all that much. Meanwhile, the big dogs at the top of the company are eating real well, and it's off of our own backs. So you got to say, whose fault is that? We need to learn how to negotiate better, because that's what it comes down to. So I'm listening to all this with Diz, and trust me, I get it. I see his frustration, and I've been in his shoes so many times. But whose fault is that? That's our own fault. You gotta be willing to take that L. You gotta step to a negotiation table, know what you're worth, and if they're not willing to give you what you're worth, you gotta walk away from it. If you continue to work with them, they're gonna just continue to take advantage of you. So a lot of the stuff that Diz is saying, I trust me, I get it, but at the same time, this is just business. So Diz is not a good businessman. Lush, all these guys, like, I look at them, they're like caught up in a world where they're somewhere between trying to be like thugs and be businessmen, and they're neither. And they're somewhere in the middle, and that's why they're getting taken advantage of, and they're not respected by businessmen or thugs. They're just, there's value in them because people look at them and they say, we can make money off of them. So I mean, let's break that down, and let's look at some of the things that Diz is saying. Diz basically feels like he's owed, and he feels like KOTD wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for Dizaster, and if it wasn't for everyone from Grind Time jumping ship. And one of the main people was Avocado. KOTD inherited just a wealthy, talent pool, as far as the battle rappers, but also they got Avocado as well, and Avocado is one of the best in the business. And but whose fault was that? So I don't know how long you've been watching battle rap, but I've been watching this for a long time, and I remember GT. I remember how good it was. I do remember the collapse of it as well. So for those who don't know, Grind Time was sort of a three-headed monster. You had Lush One, Mad Ills, and Direct, and that was basically what the company was. Lush, in charge of the West Coast. You had Direct. He didn't really run a division, but he was like a partner, and then you had Mad Ills down with the Florida division. Then they had all these divisions in between, and they kept expanding. And so you had like initially Jay's Juice running the East Coast, and then PH came along, Poison Pen, and they really added more legitimacy to the New York division. But the main division throughout the whole time was the West Coast. You had like the Midwest one too. Nothing really was too good there. You had Real Deal, Fresco. They kind of came out of that. But Sunny Bamboo ran that. You had the Atlanta division, Sid Vicious, and Mr. ATLA, I guess. I forget who's his partner down there. But bottom line, you had three main partners, and it was Lush, Direct, and Mad Ills. And the reason why Grind Time collapsed is because Mad Ills was just strong arming Lush and Direct for all the YouTube money. Now, I don't know their full backgrounds, but it seems like Lush and Direct came from more of like wealthy backgrounds. So instead of being smart about the situation, what they should have done was handled it with Mad Ills, but instead They did what kind of like what Diz is doing. They tried to expose Matt Ills. They came to the fans for sympathy, and they were basically saying like, "Look, don't you feel bad for us? Like this guy's been stealing all our money, and we haven't done anything about it, and we haven't checked him." So instead of building something new, which they easily could have, there was so much talent in grind time from coast to coast, all throughout. You could have picked like the five best in every division, and you would have the greatest like battle rap circuit running, especially at the time. KOTD, not so much. KOTD was it's pretty small. They started humble beginnings. They didn't even have venues. They'd be outside. Really poor camera work. So instead of them, rebuilding a new league in America, they said we're gonna all run to KOTD, and we're gonna do this to sort of stick it to Mad Ills. Like, all right, grind time's not gonna survive without us, and not looking at the big picture and in the long run, seeing how they're gonna turn KOTD into a monster, and that's what KOTD is today. And still to this day, they don't have a ton of Canadian talent. It's like the same handful of guys. You got your Pat Stay, what, Sharon. I mean, there's not much there. Hallahan fell off. He used to be one of the top guys. Um, so, Kid Swiss back in the day, but they really, this is right. He did help build KOTD, but that was his choice. So does KOTD owe him anything for that? I don't know. Who's to say they do? What it comes down to is negotiating, and you got to negotiate for what you're worth. And I mean, these guys, they don't move like businessmen. As far as like Lush, Diz, all these guys, they move like children who have money and don't need money, and then they complain that they don't have money. So so Diz is on these rants, and so like I said, I feel for him, but at the same time, I don't run up in my job where I feel like I'm not being valued, that like they're not treating me and they're not paying me for what I'm worth. Can you imagine running up in your boss's office and saying, I'm unhappy, and loading a gun and telling him, suck my dick, I'll make you suck my dick, real shit, this and that. It's like, dude, this is not how you conduct yourself. You look like a clown, and doing that, I have more respect for you doing that, running up in your boss's office instead of getting online and releasing a vlog while you're doing all this. Like, it's just not. This is foolishness. You want to be taken seriously. You don't do things like this. And as far as like them building, KOTD, they absolutely did. KOTD wouldn't have. They would be as big as like Got Beef in Australia, or like King of the Ronalds or something. It's just not even as good as that, because that's more of like a parody, which is pretty funny. But KOTD did a smart thing, and they used all these guys because they offered themselves to be used. So you can't really blame KOTD for that. It's a weird scenario, and you, like I said, you definitely feel for Dizaster, but at the same time, like, he's not even playing his cards right. So right now he's with URL, so he feels like, I think he has like a 3 battle contract, so he's feeling like, well, I don't need KOTD anymore. I got the biggest league in the world, URL. But again, he's not looking at the big picture. Like, he's been on URL twice now, and both times not the greatest performances. I'll give him credit for his first rounds. He battled Rex and he battled Tay Rock, but he doesn't appeal to URL. Like, he's just not going to appeal to that URL crowd. He may have that first round of fire, and then he loses steam like Diz often does, and it's never a good look. The battle ends with a bad taste in your mouth. You feel like, this was disappointing. And in both battles, it wasn't like Rex and Rock were really in their bag, and they still beat him pretty clearly. So, does he have a future on URL? Probably not. Like Diz is a huge name in battle rap, and he's a brand, in and of himself. So like, he can move without a league. He can just go around the world and battle people. He'll always get booked, and as long as he has good performances, People will still book him even if he has bad performances. People will book him just for the name, just to sell tickets. So, again, this definitely brings a lot of value to KOTD. So I understand his frustrations, and I agree. Like he probably does deserve to get paid more, but we all do, and he seems to be like kind of delusional, thinking that he should have some sort of like ownership in the company because he brings in so much money to their company. It just doesn't work that way, and that's not going to happen. Um, I don't know. I don't know how grimy KOTD is. Like I've definitely seen a lot of people, big them up over the years. People who have been on different platforms saying KOTD is by far the best. They treat them the best, but at the same time, from what I hear, is that they usually get paid the least. So you got to look at like what does a battle rapper value more? Like, do they want to be treated well or do they want to get paid the most? When it comes to Smack, seems like Smack pays them a lot and is realistic with them. Like, you are replaceable. We'll give you a good amount of money, and but that's about it. Like, I don't know what else you want from us. We're a battle league. You're a battle rapper. We'll hire you. We'll pay you well. You'll battle. You'll go home. That's it. I don't know what else. Like, I remember a lot of people talking about like from URL that battled on KOTD being impressed with like weird little like trinkets that they gave them. Like, oh, they gave us this like like a keychain or something. It's like, what are you in this for? What are you really doing this for? But so I don't know. On the outside looking in, his word is as good as theirs, and they haven't really spoke on it. So what do you think? Do you think Organic should speak on this? I know he's spoken on Disaster in the past, and from their perspective, they don't really have to, cause Diz looks crazy. He looks like a child throwing a tantrum, and he's like digging his own hole. He might have his own fans that'll ride with him regardless, and they'll say like, yeah, this is messed up. Should pay this more. This is also kind of reminiscent of like Charlie Clips. When Clips wasn't coming with third rounds, he ended up dropping this long blog. It was like 40 minutes. I remember he was outside and he was basically like trying to get sympathy and explaining like I don't prepare because I don't get paid as much as we agreed upon. Like they would give him probably like his deposit and then like not end up paying him the most. So URL ended up, they had to make a decision and they had to say, well, how important is Charlie Clips to our platform? And at the time he was very important. Another thing is that Clips is very charismatic. And so he's just a lovable guy. And when you see him stating his case, that goes a long way because you feel for him. So there were a lot of people who immediately took Clips aside and they're like, URL is evil. How are they not paying him? Meanwhile, what you should have done is sort of look at both sides of it. And at the same time, Clips isn't coming with 3 rounds. So, in all honesty, should he be paid his full amount? It's kind of like the chicken and the egg. Like, what happened first? Clips is trying to say he doesn't come with third rounds because he doesn't get paid, his full amount. But the way I saw it was the other way around. Like, they weren't paying him from the get go if they weren't. So I don't know, but with Diz, he's not really that like charming guy, who can get on cam, and I mean there'll be people who rock with him because he does have a lot of fans. But another thing Diz spoke on was basically like the whole math situation and how he got banned for that, and you can't really blame KOTD for banning him. Most people thought they did the right thing. There were a lot of people complaining when they let him back. They were saying that that wasn't long enough, that wasn't strict enough of a ban. Like, that whole situation was weird, and people would look at it in different ways. But bottom line, Matt got jumped in the venue during a battle, and people are reactionary. I don't know how I would have handled that situation. Like, if you're in a battle and basically, someone provoking you to hit them, you might hit them. I don't know. I'm more of like a meet me outside type of guy. I'll catch you after the venue. Like after the event, outside the venue. I like. I don't know what that whole situation really was. Whether if it was a setup, It definitely got them a lot of publicity. Everyone, KOTD, Math, and Diz. Math probably the worst because he struggled to sort of just get back to who he is for years, and I don't even know if he's there yet. But if you do something like that, can you blame them? If you're at work and you jump a coworker at work, damage property, Avocado's camera got destroyed. There was a lot of damage, a lot of money lost because of that. So odds are is you're gonna get fired from the company. You're gonna get banned permanently. So that little light ban they hit him with, I think it's to be expected. I don't really blame KOTD for that. And so Diz felt some kind of way because he's saying, how can you ban me after everything I did for you? Over the years, I helped build your company. They banned you because of what you did during that incident. You have to see that. Like, you can't be that delusional to not understand why you were banned. So he was saying that basically he was, going through hard times. He was like on the verge of homelessness. I don't know if he was actually homeless, and that he felt like they should have looked out. I don't know what their relationship is behind the scenes. Like, do they have that brotherly, do they have some kind of friendship, or is it a business? Well, anyway, he ends up getting the Cassidy battle, and in his words, he said that's the most money he ever got in his life. So, but of course, the money ran out, and now Cass got a lot, and he got paid a lot more than Diz got paid. And that's another thing I want to mention. Like, battle rap is not respected by the industry. Battle rap is kind of like the industry's little brother, and they're not respected because the way battle rap treats the industry. Like, we look at them like they're so much bigger than us. We get so excited anytime somebody even like mentions battle rap. Oh wow, Jay-Z tweeted about, you gonna get this work, and that's like huge news, or like someone came to the event, big deal. Like, I say that to say this: Cass and Diz battling each other. Why wouldn't Diz get paid as much as Cass got paid? Is Diz not one of the biggest names in battle rap? This is our domain. Cass stepped into the battle world. I know he came up as a battle rapper, but and it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning and understanding your own worth. And battle rap as a whole doesn't seem to understand it. You know, Someone makes it to Wild 'N Out, and I mean that's great. Get your bread, but is that like really a platform we respect? That's kind of like a kid show, and I would clown someone for being on Wild 'N Out. I would if I was presented with that opportunity and I was a battle rapper, yeah, of course I'd take it. That's money right there. But at the same time, it shouldn't be looked at as like that the next level. Like, wow, you went from being this like, dominant battle rapper or a lyricist that mainstream rappers kind of mimic. Like, come on, how many people do you see in the industry? They watch battle rap because you could tell they're stealing our style, the way we rap. Like, we're setting the trends, not them. And they sort of, they're eating off of us. And at the same time, we're looking up to them, blinking all slow, and there's a certain attitude in battle rap where that's why we are where we are. We kind of put them on a pedestal, the industry, and that's why we don't get what we're worth because we treat ourselves like we're not worth anything. So there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot to think about. And like, what do you think this should do from here? If he severs ties with KOTD, like, personally, I think he'll be all right because his name is big enough. I don't really blame KOTD for what they're doing either, though. you know Again, you got to be willing to negotiate. Like, it seems like Diz is more mad at himself, but instead of taking any kind of blame, he's throwing it at KOTD. Like, everything that he's saying throughout all this is like, I took less. I agreed to take less. I agreed to do this. I agreed to do that. So why are you agreeing to do any of this stuff? At the end of the day, it falls on you. Again, like, I've been in those situations too, and I've taken L's. I've put, my own like career on the line to try to get more, and there were scenarios where they ended up screwing me over. They ended up using me and then letting go of me when the time was right because they knew they weren't going to pay me more, and they left me, unemployed, bad situation. It is what it is. But that was what I was willing to do to try to get what I thought I was worth and what I was worth. But that's what it is at the end of the day. You got to negotiate, you got to be willing to take that L if you want to get what you want to get. Now, if you agree to take less, that's on you. And you can't come back to the company later and think they're wrong for doing something that you agreed to do, you know? And again, it's business, man. That's their company. They're gonna do what they do. Like he was trying to create some kind of scenario where, hypothetical scenario where, let's say Jay-Z decided he wanted to buy like the Diz and DNA battle. Well, yeah, KOTD owns the rights to that, so you're not gonna get paid for it. And again, that's battle rappers being short-sighted. When battle rap wasn't as big as it ever was, there wasn't as much money in it, so they were willing to take a flat fee. Maybe you should have negotiated to get paid based on the views, and I think they should. That seems like more of a fair way to do it. Again, I get a lot of stuff that Disaster was saying. He's right. Like, why am I, I'm on a card with a lot of people who aren't as good as me. They don't bring in as much money as me, and I'm not getting paid much more than they are. So it just doesn't add up. But again, it comes down to you and what you agree to do. So I think, like Diz did say, it all started when Grind Time collapsed, and all that blame goes on everyone from Grind Time that ended up jumping ship to KOTD just to sort of like stick it to Matt Ills. And Matt Ill's like, what was he gonna do really? What do you have, the Florida division? Like, he was trying to build his company around like just cornballs. Spider Murphy. He tried to do like a reality show at the time, and Florida did have some talent at the time, but it was like a lot of those guys weren't really battling that much anymore. High Collide, Surgeon General, Madness. These were pretty much like their bigger names. Maj Gelton, ATM. It's like you can't really build a league around that, and a lot of those guys stopped battling before the collapse even took place. So, basically what I'm trying to say is that Matt Ills was gonna fail regardless, and they were the rest of them, like Matt Ills and I mean Lush One and Direct and all these guys, all the battle rappers, Thesaurus, Disaster. They weren't looking at the big picture, and they were acting sort of like, oh, we're gonna go over to KOTD and we're gonna make KOTD, better than Grind Time. Why wouldn't you start your own league? Why wouldn't you, have a league that would be better than KOTD and Grind Time? They really could have did something, specifically the West Coast, because the West Coast did carry Grind Time. Later on, the East Coast did have, names like Hollow and stuff like that, but no other division had that much of a run like the West did. The West was definitely, something special over there, and that's what KOTD pretty much like built their roster. It was all ex Grind Time battlers, so can't really blame KOTD for that. You could call them opportunistic, yeah. You could call them smart businessmen too, because they were, so they totally took advantage of them. They blew up, they got bigger and bigger, and now people like Disaster are starting to feel like they're owed something, but they're not. At the end of the day, they're not. So Diz is basically doing what I'm trying to say, and I guess he is willing to sever ties with them. He's gonna put all of his energy towards I guess his next few URL battles. So one thing I do want to say too about KOTD being grimy, I don't know how many people watch Ruin Your Day. It's a show with Avocado. Usually he'll have like Ilmac there, Chase Moore, and then they'll have like guest battle rappers and stuff. So basically they'll have a round table and they watch battles. And it's fun, and it's funny. It's great, if you're alone and you want to sort of like rewatch it feels like you're watching a battle with them and with people who are like on the inside. They could give you some backstory, that you might not know about, and just crack jokes throughout, clown battle rappers. It's hilarious and it's great. And one thing is that the only league out of all the leagues that don't allow Avocado to watch their battles is KOTD. And how grimy is that? Avocado worked for them for years. If it wasn't for Avocado, I think Avocado was as important to KOTD as anyone, as Dizaster, Thesaurus, any of these guys. Avocado just stepped up their quality by coming aboard, him and his team. So to turn around and get mad over some views, like you're really mad that Avocado's making a little bit of money on his own channel, does he not deserve that? And KOT, Dizaster made a point about that Avo owns the raw footage. I don't know how true that is because if he did, he would still be watching KOTD battles, and the truth is he's not. He's over here watching everything but that. URL. He'll watch RBE. He'll watch anything. Any of these other leagues, they allow him to do that because it's good for their own brand. It's promotion. Yeah, nobody's not gonna continue to watch battles on the channel because of Ruin Your Day. So that really rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like that. So I mean that's definitely grimy, and so I don't doubt that there's truth to some of the stuff that Diz is saying, but at the end of the day, this is a business, and if you want to get paid what you think you owe, don't continue working with a company who isn't paying you what you think you deserve. And that's just my take on it. So what do you guys think? It's definitely a scenario where you'd like to hear KOTD's side of it, see what they have to say. How much truth is there to any of the stuff that he's saying? But yeah, let me know what you think. I just felt like I had to speak on this. It's again, I feel bad for Dizaster. I understand where he's coming from because I've been there mentally. When I'm looking at him and his rant, it's like, yeah, dude, I feel you, and I think we all do. We've all worked at places where we got taken advantage of, and that's just life. If you don't want that, start your own business. Believe in your own talent and make it happen on your own. Because as long as you're on someone else's payroll, they're gonna dictate how much you get paid, and you're gonna have to negotiate to get as much as you can out of it. And that's just what it comes down to. So I don't know. That's my take on things. Again, thanks for listening. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe, and that's it for today. Peace.